Welcome to So You Think That Was Good, Do You? A podcast where we take a look back at the films from your childhood and question the absurdity of their universes. My name is Evan. It's bloody spoopy season, baby. We've started early. We're going for 9 bloody weeks. I'm joined by Carl and Jonny. How you doing, boys?
I am so hot.
I'm slick to the touch.
Bloody warm, isn't it?
It's so warm. We are not made for this.
No, it's 29.1 degrees in my living room, and don't I fucking know it. I can't have the fans on because it fucks with the microphones. All the windows are closed.
Yep. We're locked up, baby.
Yeah. Jonny and I are both currently topless, but Evan is a ghoul, so he's not allowed to display all that.
Nobody wants to see. We're not going to be able to do the episode if I take my top off. You'll be calling fucking animal services. Somebody come pick up this fucking rodent.
Even in an audio form, people will be put off if Evan is topless.
His image would be waving like in The Ring. Like in the footage, we would only see just a ghoulish ghost. Oh god, I think I've got COVID, boys.
Oh, well, we're all delirious either because of COVID or the heat, or because it's bloody spoopy season, boys. When Cole mentioned this, I'm sure just because I'd picked a really terrible movie, and he was like, I know how to make Evan not do this movie. It's just to mention spoopy season. And he was bloody
Do you want to tell him the movie?
Yes, it was What Women Want, starring class act Mel Gibson.
Anything to get out of watching another 2-hour movie.
It was very... This was 2 hours long, Cole.
So Florence was very upset that we didn't get to watch What Women Want, so now I have to watch it at the weekend. So
I mean, we will watch
anyway.
it. We'll just postpone it till after spoopy season.
Yeah, at some point I'd like to do a rom-com season of some sort, because they're all terrible.
February for Valentine's. No, Evan, your face is saying no.
My concern with that is that Groundhog Day is in February. Another very special holiday.
We've got plans.
Yes, no, I'm absolutely keen to do rom-coms, but boys, we're stalling. We've got to get right into it. And this week, we watched 2002's The Ring, based, of course, on the some other times Japanese film Ringu.
I really didn't think you'd do it.
Was that bad?
Didn't either.
Yeah.
That's what the movie's called.
He's just giving it the appropriate emphasis behind it.
If I pronounced a French word in an English accent, all the French would complain.
Very true.
Also, I'm not English. I'm half Maltese, so...
I think it's just because it's the same as when any, say, British or American person is speaking normally and then they get to a word like chorizo and feel the need to suddenly turn extremely Spanish, and you just go, oh, what a cunt.
When they read Barcelona and they say Barcelona.
Yeah. When I hear you say Ringu,
how often do we talk about this? That's probably the first time I've ever said Ringu in front of you. The only time I've ever said something equitable to that is when we played Rocket League and they brought out the Tokyo map and everything in that just ends in a U. Golu!
Oh, God.
He's staying silent, but he knows I'm right, and he doesn't like admitting that. So expect Cole not to be in the rest of this episode.
I'm just trying to avoid the cancellation that's going to happen. If you go back,
cancellation.
I stayed quiet.
Right, sorry.
We are in touch-a-boo.
Fuck. Okay, I'm in the clear.
Carl, why would you say that?
I have no idea who this movie is directed by, so we don't have to cover that. There's some famous people in this. There's Naomi Watts. No
Brian Cox.
Note. Brian Cox is in this, who plays Richard someone. We'll get to him in a bit. And the music is by Hans Zimmer. Really the only other notable thing about this movie. I tell you bloody what, boys. I've forgotten to get a plot synopsis. For the first time in a long time, so I'm just going to pretend like I have one. It'll be just as bad as they usually are. So,
how about you track one down and we'll just listen to Jonny do his Japanese impression until you find it.
It's like, strap in. This is called the cancellation season. Not
Can
not
Evan
spoopy
find
season.
a plot synopsis before we get cancelled?
Oh god, the pressure! Oh my god, this is so terrible. Okay, I've got it.
That was hard, wasn't it? Almost immediately.
It sounds like just another urban legend. A videotape filled with nightmarish images leads to a phone call foretelling the viewer's death in exactly 7 days. Newspaper reporter Rachel Keller, brackets, Naomi Watts, is skeptical of the story until 4 teenagers all die mysteriously exactly 1 week after watching just such a tape. Fucking who wrote this? Allowing her investigative curiosity to get the better of her, Rachel tracks down the video and watches it. Now she's just 7 days to unravel the mystery. All lies. Apart from the 7 days. She takes no initiative in this story. She is told to do it and then she's trapped because she's going to die.
I think so. Although, we'll get to it, incredible investigative journalist. Oh, fuck, I said it once and now it's lost. I did it in Batman, I can't do it again.
Not to beat a dead horse, but investigation-oo.
Oh, no.
Can we go back to the nightmarish videotape?
Sure, yeah.
Because when this movie came out, they released that tape's content with no context. And that's how they built up hype for the movie. Not that scary, really.
It is if you don't know what it's about.
I'd put forward that the boat ride scene in Willy Wonka is more scary than this tape.
Yeah. Tell you what it reminded me of. I don't know if you guys watch The Office, the American Office. It's Gabe with the cinema of the uncomfortable or something. It's like on their Halloween episode, and it's just him with like loads of clips of really uncomfortable thing, and everyone's really grossed out. That is essentially what this tape was. Bearing in mind, in The Office there was no dead girl coming out of the television. But
okay, I'm going to hit 2 points there. One, this reminds me more of like psychological conditioning stuff, where you're put in a Russian lab and they try to turn you into like a sleeper cell. That's what the tape read to me. And two, I forgot what the thing you just said was, so I can't remember number 2. So let's move on. Which is really foreboding for this episode, because it's long, this movie, and it requires me to remember a lot. So, fuck. I biffed it so early. The movie begins with 2 teenage girls, Becca and Katie. They're hanging about. It's a sleepover, and, you know, they're having a laugh, they're having a joke. One girl is quite annoying. I think it's Katie. And then Becca sort of brings up a videotape that has been circling around. I know why she's really annoying, Katie, because she has conspiracy theories about something. I didn't write down
that
what
must
it
be
was,
annoying.
but she is really banging on about it. Yeah, but you're having a sleepover
Evan,
with one
that's
person.
a direct attack on my character.
Jonny, when you've had a bag of coke, anything sounds good. When you're just sleeping over at your friend's house and all you've got is videos, not so great.
Yeah, this is the electro rays that are going through your brain by watching TV.
That's it. Yes.
Which is a good point for me to plug my new EP. I've got an EP coming out next week.
Is it called Electro Rays?
Nope, but I do make
then
electro.
Cut that, Evan.
So.
He's made a terrible link.
Please rename it to Electro Rays, and maybe I'll keep this in.
All right. I'll have to speak to the label.
Becca's so goddamn sick of Katie's conspiracy theories that she brings up this cursed videotape that's going around that kills you in 7 days. And then Katie's immediately like, oh, I've already seen it. And there's like a really tense moment that's built where you're worried that this girl has actually seen it, and you get a phone call after you've watched it and you're gonna die. And the tension's immediately broken when they start laughing and joking again. You're like, oh, we're just joking. This is like a bait and switch scene. And then
double bluff.
Immediately, she's like, oh, I have actually seen it, and this is the 7th day, and the phone rings. But before we get there, boys, if any of you listened last Spoopy season, I did miss it for some episodes, but this is my favourite segment, and I'll be doing it for the next 9 episodes. This is my segment, Fucked Facts, where it's not necessarily a scary or spoopy fact, but just something to do with a production that we've watched that isn't necessarily not fucked. So, I actually have two that are intertwined with the same person and offers you two perspectives on them. I will make no comments on it. It's up to you to decide. It's simply something that happened. Fucked fact number 1, and this has to do with Amber Tamblyn, who was in House, as you said before we started this call, when House started getting bad. That's nothing to do with this. And she plays Katie, who will become important kind of in a bit. So, in an open letter to Teen Vogue, Amber Tamblyn accused James Wood, famous actor, of seducing her and a friend and offered to take them both to Las Vegas. Woods called her a liar, to which she replied, "Accusations like that sent me back to the day in the producer's office and back to all the days I've spent in offices of men." Pretty fucked.
Oh, shit.
Fact number 2. In 2018, she tweeted about an incident in Brooklyn where a Hasidic Jew almost hit her and her young daughter with a van. About this, she said, "This is not the first time a man from the Hasidic community in New York City has attempted to harm me or other women I know." End of tweet.
God. Fucking hell.
A journalist from said community remarked on this, saying how terrible it was that she would stereotype an entire community based on one incident. Do what you will with those facts. All I'm saying is simply they're fucked. Let's continue with the movie.
Agreed. Fucked.
The phone rings in the house. Becca, one of the teen girls, goes downstairs to answer it, but at least for us, there is no one on the other end. As she's down there, the TV turns on mysteriously by its own. It's all staticky. She turns it off. It turns back on. Classic horror stuff. She unplugs the TV. The fridge opens with like an ominous whooshing sound. This is like really building something up now. Maybe Becca's going to die. Sorry, this is all Katie, by the way. I've been saying Becca. I meant Katie.
Doesn't matter.
I got really confused at the beginning of this movie. She calls up to Becca. No reply. There's water coming out of Becca's room. She walks in. The TV is on. There is a well on the TV. The movie cuts away. But we are to assume that Katie, the person who I've been referring to as Becca, is dead. The movie proper begins now. That's just the opening. Our protagonist, Rachel, picks up... I'm not going to say who this is yet. I'll just give him the name. Aiden from school. She's late. The teacher's kind of annoyed, but she's got something she wants to talk about. Aiden has been putting together some kind of disturbing drawings during his time in class, and the teacher's asking about whether or not this is linked to Katie, who is Aiden's cousin, who's just died. And she immediately flips this because she's like, well, it can't be about Katie because Aiden's been doing these drawings for a week and Katie's only been dead for 3 days.
This boy is the most haunted child I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. You think of is it Damien from The Omen?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got nothing on this boy. He looks like a 55-year-old accountant, but in the body of an 8-year-old boy. It is truly terrifying. He could have just been doing his normal things. He could have been going to school, playing at the park or whatever, and I'd look at that kid, I'll be like, nah, he's off to kill someone one day.
I've written a whole bit on this a bit later.
And nowadays he's a lawyer for the US government, so still a ghoul,
Is he?
it turns
Really?
out. Yeah. But you do wonder, though, between this kid, the kid from AI, and the kid from The Sixth Sense, it's no wonder a good percentage of our generation are just like, no, I'm not having kids. Not a chance. No wonder we're all creeped out by children.
Yeah. It's true, though. I think we've been so indoctrinated into thinking children are the enemy. I tell that to my sisters every time I see my nieces and nephews.
There's something off about him, but it's more like, for me anyway, he's got the Benjamin Button thing, where he is actually 60, he's just got a child's body, because he doesn't act like a child in any of this at all.
No. He calls his mother by the first name.
Oh, well, we're going to get to that, Johnny.
Okay.
Because we don't know who his fucking mother is yet, and nor do we find out for a long fucking time.
How old is he meant to be?
I think he's
9 or 10?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that.
Did you see the classroom board when his mum goes to pick him up?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, on it has their schedule for the day, and it says, today we will have a morning meeting, take a walk outside to observe trees, read and write, eat lunch, play outside, rest.
Easy day.
That's the school day.
Well, that sounds nice.
We're going to have lunch, then we're going to play outside, and then just rest.
Yeah.
So everything after lunch is just nothing.
Right, if I rest at the same time as I look at the trees, I can cut this day in half.
Home by lunch.
I forgot to mention the drawings, by the way. So that the teacher makes out they're proper disturbing. They are for a child, I suppose. There's these women lying down in each of them. It looks kind of like they're in a grave. And then the teacher's like, is this Katie? And the mum looks at it. Sorry, Rachel looks at it. And it's like, yes, this is Katie. And then she's like, oh, well, they were done a week ago. How's he drawing Katie dead when she's only died 3 days ago? And then you see the drawings, and it's just a fucking stick figure. And you don't know how Rachel has made the leap from
It's in a puddle of water, though.
Figure.
That's the scary part.
Well, in a bit we do get an answer to this question, which is that Katie was telling him that she's going to die, which is a lot for an 18, 19-year-old to be putting on an 8-year-old boy. But just by the way, I watched a video that kills you in 7 days and I will be dead.
And
Do
I'm
with
gonna
that what
try
you
jump
will.
in there before Jonny. Super weird that an 18-year-old girl is hanging out with a 9-year-old boy, cousins or not. What the fuck are they doing all the time?
In quotation marks, his best friend.
Yes, I'm her best friend. Absolute
Weird
madness.
as hell.
Crazy way to open the movie. But we're back home now. Rachel is putting Aiden to bed, and he's too tired for a bedtime story. So this is where really the highlight. It highlights how unclose these characters are. Aiden calls this woman Rachel. She calls her Aiden. There's really no love lost between them.
No.
Honestly, I don't feel like they've met before today in this movie. There's no familiarity. And then Aiden follows this like kind of exchange up with saying, I don't feel like we have much time left before we die, which is where he said, Katie told me she's going to die soon.
It's weird as fuck.
And she did. Yeah, it's super.
It's at this point that all of my notes from now on, and I posit that this is how we should refer to Aiden as Nightmare Boy, because no normal child should talk like that, not even to his mum. Calling your mother Rachel instead of mum or mom is...
I didn't even know it was his mum at this point. I honestly believe she was like his carer. There was
I did
nothing between these people.
It's very fucking weird.
So this next scene highlights it so good. Rachel wakes up clearly late. It looks like she's been drinking the night before. She's panicking. She goes into her closet. She can't find her clothes. She walks out into the living room, and Aiden has laid out her like black dress, her shoes, the little black bonnet for her pants, her socks probably as well, for them to go to the funeral that's coming up. And he's also put himself in a suit and tied the perfect Windsor knot of his own. I don't know what this kid has seen prior to this movie, but it has aged him well beyond the years of his physical body.
A 55-year-old accountant.
This kid has nailed the Windsor knot pre-YouTube.
Insane.
Impressive.
I believe him when he says he doesn't have enough time left in the last scene.
He's busy doing his taxes.
Yeah, well, he's gazed into the eyes of an eldritch horror, come out the other side, and is understandably frustrated with the actual adult he lives in who can't get up on time and dress herself. This boy has seen it all.
Come on, mother, get it together.
We've
got places to be. Yeah.
The darkness calls for him.
Yeah. And don't we fucking know it? The Nightmare Boy lives.
He will live forever, but not want to. Anyway, moving on to Katie's wake. They've gotten all dressed up. They're heading over to Katie's house. And this is where it's revealed that Aiden and Katie were like best friends. They were hanging out all the time. Katie was 16, by the way, not 18. And he's really torn up about it.
It's fine then.
More so, more so than Katie's mum and dad. Like, the mum does ask Rachel to look into things, which we'll get into in a second. But Katie's dad, I don't know which casting director hired this man, but this really was his first go at acting, and the director really did just accept that first take, because it is not an emotion.
He's supposed to be a broken man,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
But
I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was very Joker-esque.
They could have just stuck a cardboard cutout on the sofa and gone, he's just not quite right since she died.
Yeah. He could have just been staring down as opposed to being like, yes, I'm fine.
Check
That's
script.
not good
How
acting.
are you?
Yes, that's exactly what he says.
He's got it written
I'm
on his
fine.
hand.
How are you? Katie's mum asks Rachel to use her journalism powers to find out, to dig into what happened.
To dig
To
into
Katie.
what? As far as they are aware.
Supposedly had a heart attack. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
exactly.
here is where the basis comes from, is because the doctor says she has a heart attack, but then they've all seen Katie, and she clearly didn't have a heart attack.
No,
her
her
jaw
mouth is
is about
fucked.
2 meters away from her eyes. Something other than a heart attack happened.
I think I sent the picture to you and just
Yes.
said, it looks like she died from the world's biggest sneeze.
I'm going to be terrified to sneeze from now on. What if my jaw falls off?
In what world is it reasonable to go to an investigative journalist and go, you need to look into this? She had a heart attack in the living room. Yeah, it turns out there is something, but why would you have that assumption?
The police should be thinking before this, that girl did not die of a heart attack because her jaw is off her fucking head. They should be the ones fucking looking into it, not
she was
the
fucking
sister of the bereaved.
Blue the same day she died, and soaking wet.
Yeah.
Just like all the victims of this ghost.
By that logic, I'm about to fucking die because I am slick.
Don't you fucking yawn, bro. But after this, Rachel then speaks to Katie's friends who are also at the wake, and we learn that Becca, who was there that night with Katie, has been moved to a mental institution because she hasn't dealt well with what happened. Also, Rachel learns about the tape that they watched from, literally this character is called Male Teen Number 1 on the credits. But is probably one of the most recognisable actors in this because he was in the OC, but after this.
Yeah, that was it.
It's Adam Brody, right?
It might have been, yes, that sounds familiar.
He's in the Shazam movies as well. And he's in a fantastic movie, I think it's called The Kid Detective, or something like that, about...
Sounds shit.
Well, it's about a kid detective all grown up, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. He's had this full mental breakdown because he was the kid detective solving kids' TV show-like crimes, and then a little girl went missing, and the entire town was like, well, solve this then, and he never could.
Oh,
That
God.
really
sounds
good.
really good.
I might have to watch that.
But this is the last scene he's in. We also learn about Josh, Katie's boyfriend, who also died the same night. This is like the breadcrumb. Breadcrumb.
It's the breadcrumb.
This is the breadcrumb.
Should we call it until the heat wave's over?
I almost yawned then and really panicked.
Don't you dare yawn. My brain can't handle that kind of trauma.
This is the breadcrumb that Rachel follows. I haven't even written that down. I don't know why I'm banging on about this breadcrumb. It is not in my notes. I just thought of the words and I thought, definitely say that, Evan. And then my brain went, no, you've got to get it out.
I'll sound
Fucking
so
hell.
smart.
Breadcrumb. Aiden goes up to Katie's room whilst all this is going on, and he just has a fucking really long stare at the TV. The lights are off. The TV are off. Fuck. It's so hot. I don't think you know how hot it is, listener.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh.
Rachel is not at all concerned about Aiden when she finds him. He's staring at a blank TV. She just packs him up and takes him home after this.
My note for this bit is that it's where he says it's not her room anymore. And my note was fucking hell, kill the child, he's the key. Get it all over and done with, just kill the boy.
I mean, it's a valid note because this movie sets up this boy for having a massive role in the events of the movie. And by the time we get to the end, and we aren't spoiling anything by doing it now, he is of no importance at all.
No.
I think what they're building up the idea of is that he could end up becoming like this little girl. Because she is definitely a victim of neglect, we find out later, and
Yeah.
I think it would be fair to say he's on his way too. She isn't the most caring of parents, and his dad
We don't know that she's
probably
his
could be
parent
around
yet.
a bit more.
For all we know, this is just this boy's other best friend.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Like my best friend when I was a child, Joggy. Carl, you don't know about this, do you? I had an imaginary friend when I was little called Joggy, who was a Victorian boy who lived in my cupboard.
That was fucking creative, wasn't it, Johnny?
It was a ghost. My sisters were scared when I would tell them about him.
I don't like it now.
Joggy was sound,
Johnny
man.
and Joggy.
Woo!
Well, this next scene. What a great.
We've moved on,
segue.
but
Insane
Johnny did make it
scene.
sound like Joggy had a theme tune for a second there.
Oh, that's that's Marley and Marley from Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay.
Joggy and Johnny. Ooh. My favourite movie of all time, in case either of you didn't know. In the next scene, Rachel is reading a news article about Josh's death, who was, of course, the boyfriend of Katie, another dead person in this movie. And I wondered here if this is what Katie's mum meant about Rachel's journalism powers. If the first thing you do as a journalist is read the paper, and that's the first clue, isn't it? And also, it's that she had to go into like a records
She's
room.
the Batman of investigative journalists. I've just got to check other people's work.
Exactly. And she had to go into a records room for a paper that came out like yesterday. So the paper she works for only prints one paper, because otherwise it would have been readily fucking available. You can get yesterday's paper today, definitely. And
Or
if
just
so,
ask one of your colleagues.
there are far too many people working in that building if they only print one paper. Which we learn later on, because that manager who comes around tries to fire Rachel on the spot. Just for working. We are not... We did one paper and we have lost £2 million.
He goes, "You're fired," and she just goes, "No, I'm not."
No, I'm not.
Flip you that Uno reverse card. No, you're fired, Mr. Boss Man.
And we never see him again.
No.
It's all right. There's 40 minutes of this movie that doesn't need to happen, that will happen. That means that character couldn't get any more screen time. So let's move on. Rachel drives to the Shelter Mountain Inn. Shelter Mountain, is that right?
Yeah,
That
bad
is
name.
right. Okay, that is a bad name. This is where the kids she read about, Josh, Katie, and two other friends who also died, they stayed, and she thinks this is where they watched the tape because it was 7 days before they died. She gets into the reception area, and the manager's like, the kids didn't pay, they complained the TV wasn't working, so he gave them videos, and the kids didn't pay. He really wanted the money from her, so she paid a lot for the room that she's going to stay in. And
That's not all he did, though, is it? He tried to do a magic trick with the cards.
He did,
and
yeah.
it struck such a chord in my brain.
You don't like magicians?
No, I like magicians. I don't like people who are trying to be magicians who are bad at being magicians.
You're like novice magicians.
If you're good at it, do it. If you're still shit, don't bother. Refine
I like
your
that,
trade and then show me your card trick. I don't even want to see a card tricks are shit.
I like them because it takes skill to do it. Like, you have to have... I don't have nimble hands. Sorry, Chloe. So I can't do them. But I get what you mean. Like, get better before... Like, I'm not a fucking guinea pig. I want to see you do it. I don't want to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
He showed her 3 cards and they were all wrong. Even the one at the end where she said it was right was still wrong.
Don't you feel like he had more significance in knowing the videotape was here? Because
You would think
later
so.
on...
Yeah.
We're jumping right to the end here, but I'm just going to say it now because it's not an important reveal. It's a reveal that making a copy of the tape saves you from being killed by Samara. And he's still hanging about, like he's near the well all the time. So surely he's getting the whispers and the visions from her. So therefore, he must be making the copies to hand out to people who stay at the cabin
Well,
in
unless
order
it's,
to keep alive himself.
it's just the same. It's the same copy being passed around, isn't it?
Sure, yeah, unless one of them takes it, and then you got to bang another out. But
When they head to Shelter Mountain Retreat, whatever it's called, shit name,
Shelter Mountain.
at the end of the movie, underneath the bit that says Shelter Mountain, it says closed for the foreseeable future. Apparently,
Yeah.
in the deleted scenes, he did watch the tape and then died, and that's why it's closed.
Oh.
But she took the fucking tape. Oh, I guess he could have watched it before she took it.
Well, it would have been closed when she went back because his 7 days would have started before her 7 days started because she watched it there, which means she went there whilst he was dead, but everything was still open. Anyway. Fuck this. Rachel is now staying in cabin 12, which is where those kids stayed. And she steals that uncased videotape that she saw in the reception area, and she watches it in the very room that the kids watched it in. And then this is just where we're showing the video for the first time. The whole, it's just flashing images of stuff. There's like a centipede, there's a ladder,
blood, there's a chair, there's like the woman in the mirror, there's all this stuff, which is then like breadcrumbs for later on.
And I like that. I like that those things come up again, but I don't feel like when they come up, they're significant in any way. It's just things that were kind of about the house later on. Like, those things don't play into Samara's story. They're just stuff that were at the house.
No, they do, because the whole point of it is the stuff that she's seen. And she puts it...
I see shit all the time. If there's a fucking videotape based on me and there's a fucking post box in there, that's because I see a lot of fucking post boxes, not because post boxes are relevant to my ghosting.
But if your bedroom was in a post box, Evan, it might be important to you.
It's known as something as a nensha, which is a form of spirit photography that enables someone to burn images from their mind into any solid surface just by thinking about them. So that's what I think the girl was meant to be. So that's why it's just stuff that she's seen. But then I'm guessing maybe in the original cut, that's probably more prevalent.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas in this, it's probably it's just a girl in a well.
They do have a lot of ghost stuff over that way. Is this China or Japan? It seems like a Japan thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Straight after Rachel watches the videotape, of course, she gets the iconic call where somebody warns her, Samara, who we've mentioned 5 times already, says that she has 7 days to live. And I've got a question for you boys. It is... And ignore that you've seen the rest of the movie for this. Imagine you've received this call. Does that mean 1 week from today, or is it 7 business days? And if so, does that mean she doesn't work weekends? And then what about bank holidays? Can I technically jam in 3 extra days into this, extending it to 10 days, if those don't count?
It depends if it's her first job. If this little girl's first job is being a haunting spirit that kills people. Either way, I quite like the idea of her just doing her normal day-to-day life between those things. Going to the shops, doing some shopping, cooking, doing all this other stuff. I also think it makes you
scarier as a ghost, because if you say 7 days, they're like, oh shit, I watched it on Monday, I'm going to die on Sunday. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday pass because it's weekend and bank holiday, nothing's happened. And they're like, oh, the tape wasn't real. And then bang, fucking Monday, roll over, bitch, I've got you.
And if you watch it at 11 a.m, she's going to be busy outside observing trees, so...
That's true.
And then what about daylight savings? If I watch it at 11... I'm safe!
You gain an extra hour. Oh, wait.
And then you do the big yawn.
Yeah. Do you reckon she's sort of like caught off guard when it gets to 7 days? Like, oh shit, I got somewhere to be.
She's at the office.
Best crawl through that telly.
Happens a lot less in this movie than I thought it would, like crawling through a telly. We only see it once, and Scary Movie would have me believe it happens every time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's alluded to with the first kill, because you see the well at the beginning, but you don't actually see her come through. Because I hate that with horror films where you see the baddie too quickly. Like, it ruins it for the rest of the film, but they do a real good job of this. It's literally in the last sort of 15 minutes where you actually see...
You don't really see her once. You see her in flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
and
only
you see like cuts of her
Aiden.
real fast. Yeah.
But apparently she can come through any reflective surface, which I guess is the significance of the mirror in the video.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And apparently that implies that the way she got to the guy that died on his motorcycle one of the 4 that watched, was that she actually emerged through his motorcycle visor. Why wasn't that shown? That is a thing you should be showing.
That would
that
be
is
fucking
sick.
scary, to be fair, yeah.
Because if she was the same dimensions as she would have had to been coming through a TV in a visor, she would have been fucking tiny. And that wouldn't have been scary. That would have been funny. A tiny little gremlin latching onto a guy's face.
Just
Trying
pick her
to
up
pull
and
his
throw
mouth
her
open.
off.
Or, actually, no, I suppose she doesn't do any physical damage. But to make someone else yawn, all you have to do is yawn. So she's just yawning in front of him.
Oh, no.
I'm so
Stop
tired.
it, Evan. Stop it. I'll yawn.
Well, all the while, she is on vacation watching a cursed videotape. Aiden is actually on his own at home, just looking after himself. And the next day, he just kind of packs up for school, makes his own lunch, and goes on his way. And this was a really strange scene for me, and I don't know if you boys picked up on it, but he starts to walk to school. It's pouring. He hasn't been cursed or anything yet. He's still weird, obviously. He's seen the eyes of an eldritch horror. And like he lowers his umbrella at one point, and in front of him has stopped a man. And this man looks like your average crackhead. He's rugged. He's got long hair, like dark circles beneath his eyes, like me. And then he's got his hood up. And you can see that this guy is going to take this boy, hurt this boy, kill this boy. And then he looks into Aiden's eyes.
Are you sure you're not projecting, Evan?
I promise you this is a scene in the movie.
I know, it's Noah. It's his dad.
No, it's not.
Yes,
No,
it
it
is,
is.
because
Yeah,
he says
that's his
later
dad.
on, because he keeps seeing him outside school.
Fuck! You can't let me finish my bit. Now I'm going to cut this.
Sorry, but I couldn't let you embarrass yourself further. To all the Ring fans out there.
Ringu. Rachel now meets up with one of her guy friends, and his name is Noah.
Is this the first time we see him in the movie?
It is. It is, yes. Never have we seen him before, other than the crackhead from the last scene. Then she's showing him a picture of all these kids who've been killed. All their faces are distorted. And a photo she's taken of herself, which is also distorted. And he's like, oh, this is fun. I'm a photographer, so I like it when somebody plays with an image. And he doesn't really believe her story because she's tried to explain the tape. And instead of trying to convince him any further, she just lets him watch the video himself. And,
Fuck everyone.
sentencing him to death.
So this whole blurry face when you're on camera and on video camera thing, I guess means that that Katie's weird electro rays conspiracy thing is real in this universe.
I guess so, yeah. It doesn't really explain why you would be blurry in a camera lens, unless it's that
What's
sort
of the electro rays, Johnny? The name
Unless
of your new EP.
Yeah. Out next week on Duckland.
Everyone's just going to be searching for electro rays and never find your new song.
They won't anyway.
Yeah, so he watches the tape because she goes outside and she's looking into all the apartments that are across the way.
Yes.
And we're seeing everyone, they're watching their televisions. And there's even, in one of the apartments, there's a mother who's just fucked off and left her kid to watch TV so she can have some time away from it. And it almost feels like it's this warning of media and technology taking over our lives.
Definitely.
But watching this from 2023, it just feels a bit too late to watch it, because it's no different than watching a movie about the 1800s and them going, oh, these newfangled radios, they're going to ruin the brains of all people. Civilization's going to decline now. We literally parent with iPads nowadays. The threat that TV is going to be just seems very diminished.
It's, what is it, in A Million Ways to Die in the West, you know, the Seth MacFarlane film?
Yeah.
Where they're saying about, you can't, all these kids with those stick hoops, they say that they can't focus on anything else because they keep using these stick hoops, like because they, the old timey game where you would have a stick and a
stick
hoop,
and circle,
and you would hit it along the road. That is just nowadays, but instead you're playing fucking Candy Crush. Well, no, not even that. Florence still plays Candy Crush, but that is 10 years in the past.
The phone rings for Noah now, but he doesn't answer, which sort of opens a lot of questions for me, because Rachel also ignores the call. And I start wondering, what happens if you never pick up the phone? Is it just like a courtesy call at a hotel where they wake you up in the morning? Or the 7 days starts once you pick up? Or is it the 7 days have already started, she's just letting you know. She's asking you to schedule it in.
Or what if she answers the phone? Does the voice go, "Could you pass me over to Noah, please?"
I was thinking, what if you don't answer? Does she phone you from other contacts in your phone to make you think it's someone else? That's very ghostly, isn't it? But what if you never answer at all? Does she follow you round, like in America, where they tried to serve you court summons?
Yeah.
But instead, she's always trying to hand you a phone to pick up, and then she quickly dodges away to phone you on the fucking burner in different disguises, like she's a mailman, she works in KFC.
Slips it in your pocket when you're not noticing.
And she gives you a buzz, yeah.
So is it 7 days from when you finally get served? Or is it 7 days from when you watched it?
It's around this point that I was like, this is where I'm going to be arming up. I'm going to be buying some body armor and a shotgun, and I'm going to be wearing brass knuckles constantly. I could beat a little girl up if I had to.
Like, spoiler alert, Noah dies at the end, for anyone listening, or who hasn't seen this 2002 movie. But it's a little girl comes out of his screen and just starts walking towards him. Not once does he just go, well, what if I hit her?
Yeah, what if I just knock this little bitch out?
What if I just swing?
Just
I'm an adult man, and it's an 8-year-old girl.
And she looks pretty tired from coming out of my TV.
Yeah.
She is on the floor. Yeah. Well, they do that in Scary Movie, so we can all watch that for our shits and gigs.
I will never watch that.
I've seen them all. Rachel also asks Noah to look into the creation of the tape after he's watched it, so that just sets up a bit more of the movie. Oh yeah, they also make a copy of the tape now at Noah's little office. I don't know, he's a videographer or something. He has something to do with fucking VHSs. But he points out that the numbers that are supposed to be a catalogue number for the tape, they're a bit weird, so they can't determine how and when it was recorded. They look over it together. They notice that there are images outside of the frame, which I don't think is something that can happen in actual film, because you're always filming what you film. You can't accidentally also film a thing next to the thing you're filming, and that starts to come onto a screen. But it doesn't matter, because girls can also come out of your TV.
It's spooky.
Yeah.
As a female protagonist, she's a pretty progressive idea. She's quite independent and intelligent. But her going over to the video man's place, who owns all the video equipment, and then ruining the whole fucking thing because she won't let him do it. She just keeps elbow budging him off the equipment, going, let me do it, and then fucks the whole thing up, is quite infuriating. So you literally brought him in because he's the video guy, let him video. He's going to have no job in 2 years. It's all DVDs soon.
The fact that they made loads of copies made me think, what if there was 1,000 copies of this video, and loads of people were watching it at the same time? This little haunted girl would be run off her little feet, or is she like Father Christmas?
Oh, that's going to
be in multiple places at once
for sure. Yeah.
At the start, it says she kills 4 people at the same time, so I think she can.
No.
But I don't know how accurate newspapers are.
Because
they're not going to go, this one died at 10:01 and this one at 10:02.
Yeah, it's just like in any cop show where they're like,
this one at 10:04 because she was observing trees and having a rest.
Yeah, they look at a body part and they're like, oh, this guy died 2 hours ago-ish. I agree with Jonny in that, first of all, it's going to be the first 20 people by 7 days, and then all of a sudden she's like, I am booked up. Next person 8 days. Until eventually, down the line, you eventually get your entire life, because she's so busy. You get to watch the tape and you're like, She's like, you can live another 200 years. It's fine.
She's like the best restaurant in town. Just get a phone call. 655 days.
2 financial quarters.
Number is number 1385. I will call you back with the time. My calendar is booked. She's going to have to hire staff. She's going to have to build some other wells, put some other girls in the wells.
Haunted
and get
Inc.
some fucking other people doing this. Yeah. It's so weird in this scene as well because they both watch the tape. There is at this point, Rachel's like, I think I am going to die in 7 days. Noah doesn't believe it. But they're having like this flirty exchange, which we don't know anything about their relationship yet. But it's so juxtaposed to the now time limit on their lives. This is kind of where I became disconnected from the movie. I was like, oh, this is putting more in than the movie needs. I know now now I know why it's 2 hours long. Because there's a bit more in there than I need to know who Samara is.
Yeah. Tell me who the actual villain is. I don't need to know about your weird relationship.
Let's get to the well.
Yeah.
I know the ring is a well.
We've seen it before.
I saw the well in the first 5 minutes of the movie. The surprise later on, where you tell me the ring was the well, that's not a surprise. No. I've already seen the well.
This is the bit where his like new girlfriend or whatever comes in.
It's his colleague.
His colleague, but she kisses him as well. So I think it's...
She might be French.
Could be French. His French colleague comes in and says, bonjour. Je m'appelle unnamed.
Je m'appelle Noah's assistant. Number 2.
Deux.
Sorry, my French stops at je m'appelle, and that's only because Jonny said it.
But she describes him as her partner in crime, which just reminded me of that meme of those 2 women where they say, "This is my partner in crime." It says, "You're ordering a cocktail, Sharon, not robbing Santander."
Well, Rachel's not pleased about this new girl, and she kind of is like, "No, I don't want you to have any part of this. You get involved in something. You're not a finisher." That's what she says.
Yeah.
You start things, you don't finish them. We don't know what that's about right now. It might become important later. It kind of doesn't. Don't worry. Saturday, day 3. Rachel is now questioning Becca, who is the girl who was with Katie when she died. She's in a mental institution. Becca's pretty much non-responsive for most of it until Rachel makes physical contact with her, and Becca knows she's only got 4 days left to live. You'd think that would have some significance, but we don't see Becca again. No. Rachel takes the tape to a place where she's able to watch the individual frames of the footage on her own. She doesn't need Noah anymore, so she's gone to like a high-tech
video station or something. Place.
Yeah, someone with lots of screens to push the frame. What she's doing is watching the movie and then pausing at a specific point and then actually trying to drag the frame across, like with a mouse. That's enough information for you to know that this is bullshit. But she sees a lighthouse in that extra frame, and she's like, "Oh, that's probably important. I'll catalogue that for later." Sunday.
She also picks the fly off the screen, though. Yeah. I liked that bit. I thought that bit was good because she pauses it and the fly is still moving on the screen. You see its legs and wings twitching, and then she goes in and picks it off, and then there's like a little fly in her hands. She gets a nosebleed. I thought that was... The fly's
like on the opposite side of the lens as well. It's not on the side you'd expect it to be on. It's on her side.
So you were saying it's more of like a thriller at this point, because the horror stuff really comes in like the last 20 minutes and in the first 20.
I don't think there's any horror stuff in this, Jonny.
No, not really.
Not massively, no. But
I mean, it's spooky season, so lots of horror stuff, sure.
I will say that they build... The pacing of this is pretty good.
I could not disagree more.
But I put that down to Hans Zimmer. I feel like it was all score on this.
I feel like it was all missed, Jonny. Fucking hell. 30 minutes in, I can see what you mean. Good. I felt like it was nicely moving, but then it gets to this point, 50 to literally an hour and 40 in, where it's stuff I don't need. If you're doing a series, this is stuff you build up the mystery of what's going on to keep people coming back every week. But this is a fucking movie. I've got other stuff to do to fucking day.
Yeah.
So I need to wrap this shit up, and none of it is important. We did not need Brian Cox's character in this at all. Like, I
Brian
know
Cox's character.
Sorry.
The bit where I was like, this isn't needed is when a fucking horse yeets itself off a boat for some reason.
But that's linked to Brian's we're going to get into
don't
it. There's a lot of
care.
fucking horses in this movie.
I thought that was sick.
Sure, it was cool, but it didn't belong in this movie. Horses have nothing to do with the well, Johnny.
Yes, they do.
Oh, but I still... All it reminded me of is... Do you remember in the Titanic where the guy falls and hits the propeller and it should be sad, but it's just funny? Her harassing a horse into yeeting itself off the side of a boat.
Beard no relevance to the movie for one, and also is hilarious, yes. Not for the horse.
The horse... Yeah, I've jumped ahead, but the horse was getting stressed, and instead of just walking away, she just wound it up to the point where it was like, fuck
Kept
this.
saying, calm down.
Cannot be on this boat anymore.
I got to get away from this haunted woman.
We're going to get... Well, this is a while away. We've got to power through to get to that. And we are ticking up the clock, boys. It's Sunday. It's day 4, and Rachel has gone to a library. She's gone to a library. That's how far away we are from a ferry right now. We're still in the library
How far
phase.
away we are from a horror movie right now. We're in the library.
Let's get even further away. She asks for every book that mentions a lighthouse in the US, which is a lot of books. Luckily for us, even though this movie is 2 hours when it doesn't need to be, she finds it pretty quickly. She sees a lighthouse which matches the frame of the video she saw, and it turns out it's Moesco Island, which I assume is kind of nearby.
Apparently.
She does a bit of an online search and finds a photo including a woman from the footage she saw as well, which is Anna Morgan. And she used to breed horses with her husband.
All the horses are dead on
Yes.
that island, basically. The
They
woman
are.
was haunted, and all the horses started fucking killing themselves.
Yeah, she goes to the records room now, and she finds records about these horses and this woman where she was breeding them, and all the horses were essentially committing suicide because they were a bit weird. And then also Anna at some point committed suicide as well, and she was suffering from hallucinations. And that's all we get for day 4. It's day 5. She spent all day at the library reading those 2 things.
This is after she's convinced she's going to die on day 7.
She's got 2 fucking days left. That's going to become even more annoying in a second. So pinning this, but I know I usually forget about the pins. That pin's going to come out soon, don't worry. It's Monday, day 5. We're not even on Rachel right now. This is Noah. He's in a random corner shop, and the assistant tells him he's going to die if he keeps smoking cigarettes.
I hate
Just
that.
another fucking scene to make the movie longer.
I hate that.
Yes,
That would annoy me so fucking much.
of course, but they've only done it to make it seem spooky, but it's not. It's just we don't need this here.
Floss told me a story of she asked a guy for a lighter at a bus station once, and he then put a voice box to his throat because he clearly had throat cancer, and then gave her a lecture on why she shouldn't smoke.
Oh, I've got a story on the opposite end of that. We've got time for it. It's very quick. I was walking home. This was when I smoked a lot, and I was smoking a cigarette on the way back, and a homeless man saw me smoking, and he asked for a light. So I gave him a lighter, and then he went to offer it back after he lit his fag, after he lit his cigarette, and I was like, no, don't worry. And for some reason, I really emphasised this, even though I didn't mean to. I've got plenty more at home. And I walked away. And I thought about that for 2 weeks.
I got lighters for days, son.
Why didn't I just say, keep it, bud, don't worry. No, it's not I said at home. Like, I really emphasised, don't worry, loads of us have homes, and they're all filled with lighters. So, not only do you not have a lighter, you don't have a home.
While we're doing this, Floss was saying that when she went over to her grand's house when she was little, and she bought a bootleg DVD, which isn't even a thing, I don't think, anymore, because it's all online.
Why bother, yeah.
Yeah, and and she thought it was Lord of the Rings, but it was in fact this film. And they watched way too much of it when they were very, very young, before they realised it wasn't in fact Lord of the Rings, it was The Ring.
I mean, And that's questionable for them, because how far do you get into this movie without realising there is no Lord of the...
They were children and they'd never seen it before.
They're not an adult with them.
No, they weren't. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so the importance of this scene was that... what's his name? Noah looks at the security camera and he sees that his face is distorted also. Rachel is back at home and she's taking a drink. She starts choking and then she pulls 8 foot of hair out of her fucking throat like a magician with alopecia. That's not a great joke, but I wrote it. Only because it's more surprising that a magician with alopecia would pull hair out of his throat because he doesn't have any hair. There, I've just explained the joke for you too.
At least she perfected the magic before she did it, so Jonny will be happy.
Water leaks out from her phone. She sees Samara in a vision. She gets a burn on her hand from where Samara grabbed her. Not important. Rachel then finds out that Aiden, the boy that lives with her, has also watched the tape because he couldn't sleep. Noah calls at the same time. He's taken a bunch of photos of himself and they're all distorted. So everything's fucked for everyone. They're all realised they're going to die. And well, we find out here that
Jesus fucking
Noah is Aiden's father, which is very interesting because in the same scene, it's where it's confirmed that Rachel is his mother, which is by far even more surprising to me. Because not once in this movie have they seemed like mother and son. I know we've talked about it a few times, but the movie doesn't allude to that. It honestly feels like this is just a woman looking after a child she found, and they have barely talked.
Well, the fact that he doesn't refer to her as mum is
Rachel all the
bizarre.
way through.
Yeah. I mean, my nieces and nephews do it only because it annoys my sister and her husband. But they don't do it for some sort of like weird fucking, I don't know. It's creepy. It's creepy as fuck.
I've left your clothes on the sofa, Rachel. Yeah.
Make sure you dress nice. It's a wake.
Straight into Tuesday, day 6 now. This movie is wasting no minutes getting from day 4 to day 6. Very quick. Rachel is now going through Katie's possessions back at Katie's house. And she finds a bunch of squiggly circles in Katie's diary. And I really like that it's day 6 into this professional investigative reporter's investigation, and she is only just visiting the crime scene. She started there when she was given the case, and we are 6 days... There's 1 day until she dies, 1 day to solve the case, and only now is she going to the place that the person died to check around a bit.
Not great. Not great journalism, that.
No.
Start from the end and work your way back. That's basic journalism.
And realising how little time she has left, she's straight off to the island now. But she learned about 3 days ago, by the way. So she spent 2 days fucking about, then visited the crime scene, then goes to the island where all this stuff happened. And this is where she's on the ferry. This is what we were just talking about. She accidentally angers a horse that's just on the ferry with them. It gets loose somehow. Well, because she fucking let it out. And she's trying to calm it down. And she actually sounds quite sincere here. And at this moment, I thought, this woman is more related to this horse than she is Aiden. There's more familiarity between them than her and this boy. But understandably, the horse throws itself off the boat and into the propeller of said boat. Unbearable stuff. And like Cole said, funny for not the right reasons. Noah is working at the same time. He's not got long left either, and he breaks into the mental institution where Anna Morgan was kept, and also where Samara was kept at a previous point. To look through Anna Morgan's records.
This scene bugs the fuck out of me. Just 'cause I'm always bugged by any scene where the whole plan is dependent on the people you're tricking saying the exact right thing. Because he goes into the mental home and he asks where the records room is. And they're like, yeah, you can't go in there. And he said, I've been up there before. And the response is, well, actually, it's downstairs. So, and his whole thing, got you, now I know it's downstairs.
I know just where the downstairs door is.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I know, I've been in there, but been there before through the side door. Well, actually, the door's at the back and it's unguarded, so...
Well, that's literally how it happens, because he knows exactly where the door is, and he gets right on down there. I think down there he does find some records, but all they really say is how she tried to conceive and she miscarried a bunch of times. And also he finds some weird drawings of horses. Well, they aren't drawings, they're more like x-rays, but we do find later on that they are drawings from Samara. Not important. Rachel arrives at the Morgan residence. Not a lot of this is important. This is the section of the movie I really had an issue with. So now Rachel is arriving at the Morgan residence. This is Anna Morgan, and she's just trying to check out what's going on. It seems like no one's there, but then around the back she finds Richard Morgan, Anna's husband, Samara's father. He's still knocking about. She recognizes the window on the house as being from the videotape. Not a lot happens. He doesn't give her a lot of information, but when she mentions that she has the tape, he gets pretty. He looks like he's gonna kill her. He has a hook in his hand.
Yeah, he's real agitated.
He's just walking around with a hook. Yeah, and he's like, "I'm gonna murder you." And then she's like, "I've got a copy." And then he's like, well, it's out of my control then. But he makes her leave because he doesn't want to answer any questions. Noah, back to Noah. He finds a videotape that's just been... A lot of this fucking movie is in records rooms. That's my biggest issue. I've just realised a lot of this, 40 minutes of this, is people searching records rooms for stuff that you could just tell us. You don't need to show me everything. That's the problem with Show Not Tell, is that if you show me everything, the movie is fucking 4 times as long and it doesn't need to be. He's in a fucking records room. He finds. I think
what I like about this movie is, or maybe what was special about this movie at the time, was that there were 4 teenagers in the woods, and they all died from a horror thing, which is usually the plot of a horror movie.
Sure.
And there's an element of this was different because it's almost someone investigating the aftermath of a horror movie. But it is a lot of fucking libraries and record rooms.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because it's been done so much now, it feels a bit fucking just get on with it. But at the time, it probably was an original idea.
It was the biggest grossing horror since It, in 2017. It was
since
the most successful. It, the Stephen King.
Since what?
It. Oh,
what?
Very good. Very good.
Did that gross anything though? Because that was a TV program.
No. The second.
Yeah, they were on TV.
Chapter 2, It, in 2017.
Right, I thought you were talking about the Tim Curry It 1990s TV show.
It's the second highest grossing film ever.
What, the TV show?
No. Still no.
No, so I'm going to stay in. Fuck you!
But yeah, it grossed 240 million in the box office, and that was only beaten by the Stephen King's It film recently.
Well, they were good, to be fair.
They were fucking good,
yeah.
But it must have had something about it, especially at the time, where it really did capture people's imagination. Because now I think, like you said, Kyle, it's been overdone. Well, maybe not overdone, but there's so much of it. We're inundated by horror now, whereas before it was real niche studios would produce this stuff. Whereas now everyone fucking produces it, and there's specific studios who do it.
Last year or the year before, whenever it came out, I went to see that Smile.
I've not seen it.
Yeah. It is just this movie, though.
I realised
I did realise that watching this.
Again.
I was it's just the same movie. Because you can't really do finding a VHS and getting a call on your landline in 2021. Well, what happens in Smile is the person gets the demon thing in them. Right. And then after a week, they kill themselves, and whoever they kill themselves in front of then has a week before the demon gets them. It's all very strange, unless they kill someone in that week.
Bit similar.
Something like that, yeah.
The same as It Follows, which is an excellent movie, but that's just, you're going to be hunted by an STD demon until you fuck someone else, and then they're hunted. You have to keep passing it down the chain. And I didn't realise that came from this, because at the end we learn, as long as you make copies and distribute it, Samara will never come from you, which I did not know was a twist of this movie.
As long as you keep spreading your STD, you'll never catch up to
you. Rachel goes back to the Morgan house after she's been kicked out. She finds the door open, the house empty, and she also finds a videotape just lying around, which is of Samara in the mental institution. She's just saying a bunch of weird shit. until Richard, Brian Cox, comes back into the room, whacks this fucking woman over the head. To be fair, she's broken in. He could have killed her. But instead of doing anything with her, he walks himself to the bathroom with all the electricals in the house. A whole curry's worth of electricals, which is a UK electrical store, in case anyone didn't know. Also, it's shut down now, so it's not very relevant. And he kills himself in the bathtub. He plugs everything in. Yes, that company has gone into administration.
That is the most convoluted way to kill yourself I've ever seen. The amount of electrical equipment he had in that bathroom was so unnecessary.
Well, it's just so on the nose for what the message is meant to be, I guess. That this whole technology and media thing, as he's just got every single household appliance piled up in his bathroom in order to electrocute himself.
Well, luckily, after he kills himself, Noah turns up. He's gotten to the island because I think he learned about what was going on because Richard had taken out a tape that he was looking for. I skipped that scene because it was just another person looking for another tape in another records room. He turns up. They go to the barn where Rachel remembers that Samara said to her in the vision, or fucking something. Oh, it's so convoluted that the horses keep her up at night. And she sees the ladder from the videotape. They go up the ladder and they find a small room at like the back of the barn where they forced Samara to stay. And in there's a tiny bed, there's a tiny chair, there's a tiny TV. This was her bedroom. And behind the wallpaper as well, they find an image of a tree burned into the wood of the barn. I don't have much to say about this other than it's just like the next tenuous link to the next scene.
It's just another sticking kids in front of TVs is bad thing, I guess, that causes the rays to rot her brain, and now she can burn images onto things because neglecting your kids is bad. Which I guess is the lesson Rachel is supposed to learn. That, I probably shouldn't be neglecting my child all the time, actually, or they'll burn terrible images into my brain.
Yeah, I guess it's all just this imagery thing coming from the video, and they're trying to like make it really poignant, but it seems a bit forced at this point. I think up to this point, it's where they're trying to like gather speed in the film, but it's falling a bit flat.
You aren't gathering fast enough. Trust me. None of this is needed. It's now Wednesday. Thank God it's the final day, everyone. She's going to die today, isn't she? It's day 7. They head to Shelter Mountain again because Rachel had seen that tree burned into that barn before when she was at Shelter Mountain. And if you can't remember that, that's because it only happened once in this movie. That's where she watched the video. She saw that tree on the hill outside a window, I guess. They get there. Noah has like a fit that they can't figure out what's going on, and he smashes a jar of marbles that's fucking lying around, and all of the marbles sink towards the bottom of the room.
I hated
the middle of the room, rather.
This is the worst place ever for teenagers to decide to spend their weekend. Let's go to a cabin where we can borrow a VHS, and if that's too boring, there's always a big jar of marbles. We'll find something to do.
Also, there is a well filled with water and moisture sat below your wood cabin. That thing is black mold incarnate.
Thing is stinking.
All right, this is my point now. Carpentry Corner opens up now. This is where they find that area and he starts hacking at the floor. Aside from all the mold, and those floorboards would be rotten to fuck, by the way. There would be no floor left. He starts hacking through the floor. There are no floor joists in that entire room. What you're doing is you're standing on only floorboards, which would be like a fucking trampoline. It is absolutely fucked. There would be no floor there. You would be sitting in that well with the fucking skeleton of Samara.
And even if it managed to stay up, once you remove the middle section, all of it comes down.
Exactly. There's no joy. I can't express how badly built this place is.
Well, that's going to come important in a second, Johnny, because as they get down there, somehow, the whole cabin stays up, and they remove the top of the well, and as they're doing it, and they're searching the bottom with flashlights, random screws start coming apart in the cabin, right? So it's Samara the ghost
I quite
raising
like
the
this
screws.
bit.
Yes, it would be good, but what are those screws screwing into? We've just said there are no joists. So all those are screws in the floor, which was being held up only by the middle being in place.
Yeah.
So the whole thing should have collapsed already. Everyone should be in the well. But somehow those screws go up. Samara set up this sick mouse trap where the screws raising just causes another part of the floor to lower, and the TV rolls down, ironically, hitting
because
Samara
media
into
is
the
bad.
well. Media's bad. This is just like Gremlins, where everything's got gremlins in it was the message of that, which was technology's bad because it all comes from some other fucking country now. She falls into the well. Somehow she doesn't hit the sides on the way down. She just hits the water. Also, she fell 60 feet, by the way, so that water should have fucking obliterated her.
Head first into waist-high water.
Weirdly unmarked.
She is fine, and the child that fell down 4 years before also was fine when she fell down there. We're going to get to that. She's at the bottom. She finds a fingernail from clearly where Samara tried to claw her way back up. She swims, she scoops around the bottom. She finds Samara's body. She's intact. I was concerned about this at this point. I was like, that girl should be soup.
Yeah.
But we learn that it is just like a hallucination, and actually she is a skeleton now.
She has a flashback now, doesn't she?
She does. This is the flashback to Samara being very well placed of her own accord, just singing next to the well when old Anna Morgan rolls up, bags her, and bins her into the well. Because she's like, she says, I always wanted you, but the implication is, but you're a freaky girl and I can't deal with you anymore. Anna Morgan was basically being tortured by this girl. We haven't noticed really, Samara has like demonic power. She's the Antichrist or something.
Yeah.
She gives people around her weird visions and makes them seem insane. And the mum just finally had enough. And
in the interviews, in the things that we skipped over, there's her like in this padded room saying like, I just have to kill everyone. I'm going to kill everyone.
wants to hurt
This kind of
people,
shit.
yeah.
She's a troubled child with demonic powers. She should have seen her off a bit earlier than this, to be fair.
And we also skipped that this isn't their kid. They couldn't conceive, so they disappeared one day and came back with this child. And the doctor said, we don't know where it came from, but apparently the original birth mother died, and they just claimed this child. No other backstory other than that.
So yeah, Rachel's got these burn marks on her arms where she's been grabbed by Samara from previous visions, and then because she's then seen this whole thing through, they kind of wash away. Like she's had some sort of baptism in the well, and now she's cleansed of being a neglectful parent almost. Like you're washed free of your sins.
This is an evil child regardless of her death. She was evil before she was thrown in the well. She was making all the horses kill themselves. Why would her going to the well, if anything, that would anger her? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So because then they have this realization that they shouldn't neglect their child, but this is brought forward in just the weirdest way possible as they go to collect him, and he's just sprawled out on the floor asleep, and they're just like, I guess we should probably do something about this child. Maybe stop neglecting him and put him to bed for once, I guess. There's a few times in this movie where she goes to his room to check on him, and he's never in bed, as if maybe he's just been falling asleep wherever he is at the time for years, until she finally goes, I should probably parent at some point.
Well, what I found funny about those scenes is he's never in bed, but that's because she's gotten up 3 hours later than her son, and he's already made breakfast and ironed her clothes for the day and made the beds and everything. He's not neglected. He is the adult.
He's just waking up wherever he fell and then getting on with his day.
Yeah, the movie could have ended here. Like, this could have been the nice message at the end and could have made sense because she lost the burn.
yeah.
But the movie continues, and it turns out the only reason she survives in the end is because she duplicated the tape.
It's because they wanted to set up a sequel.
It's
sense.
not because she duplicated the tape. It's because she duplicated the tape, and then Aidan watched it because she got told. So someone still has to watch the duplicated tape, which her son did.
That's why okay, we're going to get to that. Let's save that for the end because that's when the reveal will be. Okay. Well, Rachel makes it out of the well. The emergency services turn up, and she thinks everything's all right. They're going to bury the body in a few days. And Rachel actually even says, it's over now, but there's still 25 minutes of the movie left. But don't worry, it's not going to take us 25 to do it. Noah says, how long can you survive in a well? Rachel says 7 days. That's what the prevalence of that whole thing is, which was bugging me the entire movie. Yeah. Yeah. And also where I realised, I guess you do count weekends in the 7 days then. Yeah. They pick up Aiden on the way home, and Noah takes them both home. They all assume it's over, like I said, but they've had no confirmation that it is. Rachel tells Aiden that they helped this girl, Samara, out of the dark place. And this is really where I got annoyed with the boy.
Yeah.
He's like, why have you done this? She was supposed to stay there. You shouldn't have helped her out. She's basically fucking evil. Why have you not said this beforehand? You creepy cunt.
But it didn't change anything.
No.
Why have you let her out? Now she's going to start killing people after 7 days. What, the thing she was already doing?
True.
Yeah.
She has exactly the same powers as she had in the well.
But Rachel says she won't hurt you now. Who fucking died and made you queen of the children thrown into wells? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know the fucking rules around this.
No one does, because the rules carry on regardless. Her being in the well was never important.
She's a journalist. She's not like a paranormal expert. Like,
it's so pointless. This film, The Ring, is about the well, but the well is not at all important to this movie at all.
No.
This was a girl who was evil before the well and was evil after the well, and the well does not confine her at all. She does the same stuff.
She transcends the well.
Fuck me. Wow. Noah is in his office. He's just looking at some photos, and his TV turns on. Oh, it shows the well. He tries to turn it off, he turns it on, it turns on again, the well is still there, he gets absolutely fucked by Samara.
In the slowest way possible. He runs away at the speed of a wounded fucking squirrel. He's limping away for seemingly no reason.
And not once does he
into
think,
shit.
What if I punch this 8-year-old girl in the head?
No. He spends all his time being surprised that a girl has come out of the TV rather than, what should I do about the girl coming out of the TV?
I would have 5 seconds of, oh shit, there's a girl coming out of the TV. Well, you're in shock, granted.
At least
that's weird as
throw
fuck.
something at her.
Yeah. Then I would be at least trying to fucking hit it or throw something at her, like you said.
As soon as the top of the noggin comes out, that's when I'm acting. That is
Bang!
the weakest part of a human.
Right.
That's where the sole of my fucking foot is going when it comes out of the TV. I will say I love the effect. Clearly they did it reversed. Like, she was dragged into the screen. That's a CGI effect or a green screen effect. And that's how they do it because of the way the hair drags is so good. I love that.
Also, the way when he's running away, when she like jutters, like with the like tracking on a VHS and like goes to like 10 foot in front of where she was, that bit was fucking cool. I like that. That's
very Supernatural. I know, boys. You have seen it, Jonny.
Yeah, I've seen Supernatural.
Spot on Supernatural, that. Which started 3 years after this movie came out, so you can see where they got their influence for it.
Yeah.
But, I love Supernatural, baby! Noah gets fucked by the ghost. Rachel finds him. The assistant finds him after her. He's not important anymore. Rachel goes home, sends Aiden to his room, which I love as her response, because it's like, I assume there's no TV in there, which is why you think he's safe. And which makes me think, can you solve this problem by just not having a TV, which is juxtaposed what you said, Carl, about it just being reflections, but I didn't know that. So I wondered, what's Samara's travel distance from the TV or the reflection? How safe can you be by being that far away from it?
Because the neighbour's TV.
If you don't have a TV, just coming out the neighbour's TV and just being like, oh, sorry, I'm just going to pass through. I just need to get to next door.
Just need to come over there.
Sorry. Stay where you are. Don't mind me.
Actually, I can only do 60 feet. Can you call your neighbour?
You've locked the front door. Do you mind if...
She can't touch anything. She can only make you yawn. She does really sleepy stuff. Oh. Well. Rachel now makes the massive fucking jump. Well. that the reason this is they've lived and Noah died before them, even though he watched the tape after them, is that she duplicated the tape and, like Carl said, showed it to someone, and they need to keep passing it on down the chain. I would fucking argue, and the film would also argue, Noah was absolutely there when the tape was duplicated.
Yeah.
And neither of them were there when Aiden watched the tape.
Ooh, all right. Okay.
Aiden watched it of his own accord. They both made the tape. Aiden decided to watch it on his own. They're both of equal relation to the boy, even though the boy
both
calls
were
them
present
both
when it
by
was
their
copied.
names. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she made the copy after, didn't she?
No, they made it together.
They made it
Because
together.
that's when
Yeah.
I guess
he
it must be
realised
whoever
that
presses the buttons then, because she makes
She
the
did
kid
take
press
full
the
control
buttons.
of the buttons, yeah.
Yeah.
Semantics.
Well, that's it. That's the movie, everyone. I don't want to talk about this anymore. That is the movie. But we have to talk about it more because there's the question I've just remembered. Cole, I'm going to start with you. Johnny, we're going to hit you, and then I'm going to do a real fucking short one. Unlike this fucking movie. Cole, so you think that was good, do you?
I mean, it is good. It's a good horror movie, and it did spawn a lot of... It did do something new to the genre that spawned a lot of other very good horror movies, but I'd say the message in it really struggles in 2023, and it's really thrown at you of this whole media technology is bad. And maybe that's what the ending is saying, because it's not all happy and, oh, we solved it by finding her body and now she's at peace. It's just, no, this shit will always just keep getting worse and spreading. And at the same time, I'm not quite sure what the message is about her, because she's this independent working mum, and it almost seems to be saying, well, you can't be a woman with a job and be a mum. Otherwise, you're just going to neglect your child. Because at the end...
It's a weird
It's
message
very
thinking about it
backwards,
like that, yeah.
Yeah, he asks her, are you not going into work today, mum? And she's like, no, I'm going to stay with you. Like, I
Just
finally
today.
learned that a woman belongs at home, looking after the child.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, but it does frame it that way. It's weird.
No, it's a very good movie. It didn't feel like a horror to kick off spooky season.
Wait, what did you just say?
Which bit?
I heard a consonant when there should have been another consonant, Cole. It's not called spooky season.
I'll never say it. I will never say it.
It is called spoopy season.
Spoopy.
Johnny, give us thou opinion.
Oh, well, thine opinion is... I don't know. I thought it was good. When I was watching it, I really liked it. I think I broke it up into two halves. So I stopped just before the horse killed itself. And that first section, it felt very tense. And there was
Great.
a lot of...
I loved it, yeah.
Yeah, they really built this sort of like tension in, like I said, with the score and all this other stuff. And then afterwards, it kind of fell a bit flat. I remember it when I watched it as a teenager, like most of us probably did, and being actually very scared of it. And this time I was like, it didn't really come to anything at the end. It seemed like a bit of a cop-out for a sequel.
Sequel?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 more.
What was in she's still around, she's still a threat. Rather than she's at peace now.
Yeah, because they should have finished it when she picked her out of the well and held her, and then
Absolutely. Yeah.
that would have been
nice
a good ending for it, and it would have been clear, and the whole thing would have been rounded off, and like this girl who's neglected had found someone who found her body in a well or whatever, something like that, some kind of message that would lend itself to that. But I don't know. I felt like I was very positive when I watched it yesterday, and when I finished it today, I was like, oh, I don't know.
But that big twist ending is what people keep going on about online, about how it's what really makes the film is you think it's got that standard ending where everything's resolved, and then, it's just evil is evil and will continue to be.
But people don't watch horror for that, though. People watch horror to be scared. They don't need...
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of disagree with both.
I agree.
Horror endings don't have that ending where things are resolved. It's always where you think they're resolved, and then you die anyway. It's literally the staple of horrors where you think you're okay. This movie did what all horrors did, which is why I think the actual movie ended when we thought it did. But because this was labelled a horror, or the studio thought it was going to be, they added that last bit where they were still going to die. Otherwise, this was just a nice analogy for something else, and would have been quite a beautiful movie apart from all that fucking record stuff in the middle. But that ending wasn't needed. Where yes, it spawns a lot of other stuff, and that's great. And maybe that came from the original. I have seen Ringu, but I cannot remember it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this, but it was just too long. It was too long. There was too much fucking crap searching around, investigation bullshit that didn't need to be in it. She didn't need to be an investigative person. Her fucking niece could have just died, and she was looking into it, and that was the end of it. And that's what set everything off. We didn't need Brian Cox in it. Love you, Brian Cox. You're awesome. But your story wasn't needed. We didn't need anything about the mum. It could have just been about fucking Samara and what a fucking omen child she was. I liked Aiden being in it. He was a creepy kid, but he wasn't just your normal creepy kid. He was an old man in a kid's body. Everything else was superfluous to this movie. It could have been so much more condensed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but it's not the horror I was looking to start off this season with.
It's a slow break into Spoopy season.
Yes.
We'll get into something a bit more...
But iconic.
Yeah, I am... Just for the listeners, I'm an absolute fucking pussy when it comes to horror films. And when you said The Ring, I was like, oh, God. And this was nice. This was nice. This is one that I can do.
From the era we'll be looking at that are proper scary.
Yeah, right now, we're only waist deep in the well.
Yeah.
We could do... Oh, shit. What's that clown one I watched, Carl? Where he sawed the woman from fanny to face. That really...
Terrorizer?
The Terrifier.
Yeah.
The Terrifier. That...
No, thank you.
Horrible.
No,
I had to turn that off. There's maybe even one other movie in my life I've turned off. I love a horror, me. And, I'm not the most brave man in the world. I like a horror because it gives me something, a feeling I don't feel otherwise. But the Terrifier accessed something I did not like. Seeing a woman sword from fanny to face, I was like, that's if this is the middle of the movie, I don't want to see the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
so that's our bar. We're gonna find something less than that, but more than The Ring. We're gonna get there along this season. We've got 8 more weeks.
Either way,
after this.
I'm gonna shit myself with fear.
Yes, I think we've got some good stuff in the barrel. Some classics, some ones that people think are a shit, and some kind of scary-ish movies. And I think it's a bloody good place to end it, boys. Yeah. So thank you both so much for joining me. Thank you all for listening. I'm positive this will be cut down into something much more listenable than what I have experienced. Please follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at So You Think Pod. Same handle over on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review. Next week, I kind of don't want to tell you what we're watching because we've got a couple in the mix. I kind of know what it's going to be, but I think because it's Spoopy season, the surprise is more on theme. So, boys, until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
7 days.